This presentation is brought to you by Smoooth Productions.
Welcome to another edition of your Wednesday Night Sports Delight, Platform Sports Talk Show. I did a bunny. What is going on, everyone? It is your boy Smooth. That is Smooth with 3 O's. Welcome to another edition of your Wednesday Night Sports Delight, the Platform Sports Talk Show. This is the main show. The reason why I call it the main show is that every first Wednesday of the month, you have Ladies Night. Every last Wednesday of the month, you have the Man Cave. And I did say Ladies Night, so let me show them love. Boom. There you go. And then once again, in between time, in the meantime, you have the main show. I need everyone right now to go ahead and like, subscribe, give us a follow all across social media. Go to just put in the Platform Sports Talk Show. We on Facebook, we on the X, we on Instagram, we on YouTube. Make sure y'all go ahead and subscribe and click on that bell. Usually we'll be streaming on the X live right now, but they're having some issues with their systems or whatever. So hopefully later on throughout the show, I can go ahead and stream live on X because I'll be seeing that people will really be tuned in on the X. So make sure y'all go ahead and still follow us all across social media. If you or someone that you know who loves sports would be a great guest, or we can go out to an amazing facility, a venue, etc., and post up and do a show live in person. Shoot us an email, platformsportstalkshow@gmail.com. If you can't see the show for some reason, we understand. You got things going on. You can still listen to us in clear high definition on Hot 365 Radio, where it's always hot. So make sure y'all go and check that out. Everything sounds clear, crystal clear, high definition. You can download the app on iOS or on Android. You can also catch the replay of our most recent show on Hot 365 Radio each Sunday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. They also have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Hot 365 Radio. And I said before, every first Wednesday of the month, you have Ladies Night. They had an amazing episode last month. Also, last week with the special guest, Briante Moroney. She came through and really spoke a lot about mental health and professional athletes and generational wealth. And it was just a great conversation that I know the ladies definitely enjoy, and it was definitely meaningful. Then the fellas a couple weeks ago had a incredible show as they had Larry Hughes returning back to the Man Cave as well. And tonight we have some more people. Well, so I said another guest coming on to the show. So exciting times for the Platform Sports Talk Show Network. Been doing this thing for 9 years coming up next month. So big things, man, for the network. I definitely appreciate each and every one of y'all for supporting this vision. Shouts out to the Platform Sports Talk Show family. everyone who have been supportive of me and just been I've been able to trust them and they've been trusting in me as well. So appreciate it. And now let's get right into tonight's show. I see we have some comments, and this is also very big because we need people like Miss Dove, you know what I'm saying, to continue to leave comments, like, subscribe, share, spread the word about the Platform Sports Talk Show because no one does sports talk show like the Platform Sports Talk Show Network. So if people don't know about it, let them know, hey, y'all missing out. Get on that train. Let's keep this thing going. So like, subscribe, but also comment, interact with us. Give us your thoughts in regards to whatever is on your mind when it comes to sports so we can discuss it and just have fun and just share our passion and knowledge that we have for sports. So with that being said, let's go ahead and bring in up first. She is part of the Ladies Night crew, holding things down from the Boondocks. Jobo, what is happening?
What is up? Happy Wednesday. And I'm here and we got some stuff to talk about. Some
Yes,
stuff I'm not too happy about. But
yes, we do.
I'm here and it was beautiful yesterday, a couple days ago. Kind of stuff. Now it's gloomy and cold and rainy. Brennan stayed up late last night just to make sure hopefully we don't get hit by another nader and we
Later.
we're good. We were good. So, but it's that season here in St. Louis or in Missouri, or honestly the Midwest. It's nader season, so be careful out there.
Yeah. I was talking to Joe about it earlier that just got back from Chicago yesterday. We was my wife and I was out there. Shouts out to you, wifey. She was out there for work. I was out there just to chill. Since I ain't got no job no more, you know what I'm saying? Smoooth Productions is the everything from now on. So I was able just to be her Uber driver, be her everything. So while she in meetings throughout the day, I'm walking around downtown Chicago, and taking in all the sights. Brought my drone with me, got some shots in that I'll be posting very soon on social media. So make sure y'all scan the QR code and follow all things under Smoooth Productions. But stay tuned for that. But yeah, got some great shots in. Then that was on Monday when I did all the great drone stuff. Then yesterday, wake up, cloudy skies, fog in the air. It was like, let's see, on Monday, it was about 70 some degrees. It felt amazing. You know what I'm saying? Then Tuesday, woke up, it was like 40 something, got to about 30 something, windy. I'm like, hey, now I see why it's called the Windy City, a little to the height. So then we was heading back to St. Louis. We drove and everything, of course. And let's say about 3:45, close to 4 o'clock was when we hit the highway. And I'd probably say maybe half an hour into our drive, we was like in between Chicago and Kankakee. And all of a sudden, rain just started coming down like crazy, like whoosh. Visibility was crazy. I turned on the hazard lights. Then I think we felt some hail hitting the car. So I'm like, oh man, what's going on here? So I'm slowing down a little bit. But then my wife, she prayed, like, hey, get this rain up out of here. You got to get back home. And then it was about a whole 2 minute stretch of what we experienced, and maybe 1.5 minutes. But then all of a sudden, stopped raining, opened up, and all of a sudden we get into halfway down to St. Louis, and it's like 70 some degrees. Sunshine is back out. We got the moon roof going on in a rental, and we was good. So it all worked out. But then to find out later on that Kankakee got hit with the tornado.
Yeah, there was yes, there was what was it? Indiana, I think maybe. I can't remember. Brennan was, just
Yeah.
watching all of it yesterday. But yeah, there's giant hail and a spooky like nocturnal tornado and stuff. Just spooky stuff. And after what we dealt with last year a couple times in Missouri, I don't want to deal with that again. So yeah, and I know Mia's got like PTSD from it. So I don't want that to happen again because that sucked.
Yeah, because it'll be 314 is this Saturday, and that's what happened here at the house. 314 1 year ago, coming up on Saturday, is that we had that tornado and changed everything. You know what
We
I'm
still
saying?
have people out here getting their roofs, the roofing done, their siding done, and whatnot. So, like, whew, yeah, it makes people a lot really nervous around here right now, and we're like joking around, like, if it's gonna happen again, hit the front of our house this time and not the back, because we just got the back done. But but yeah, just prayers and hopefully nothing hits us again.
And now she's ready. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready. All right, cool. She's in the kitchen munching on something she ain't shared with the crew. I don't know what's wrong with her, but she's back again, y'all. Host of Ladies Night. Bunny, what's happening?
I'm not on mute. Woo!
Fred took care of that for you.
Right, right, right.
Right. Because I still took a shot. So then he came on. I pulled a bunny. I'm like, damn. God.
Not even on the show to defend yourself.
Hey. Look, happy hump day to you too. Shoot. And as bonus, I have a voice again. My voice was
Right.
sounding like smooth last Wednesday. I was only on here for like 10 seconds in the call. The internet messed up, but I lost my voice at work and sound like a man. Like it was crazy. For 2 days, I had no voice. I was so hoarse. It's just the weather, just affecting sinuses. So I'm glad to be talking again. Glad to see you all. It's been a while. Missed y'all. I know it's a lot to talk about. Again, I have to be in and out, but I'm here for it. It was International Women's Day on this past Sunday. So we had Ladies Night last Wednesday, but the official Women's Day was Sunday. So shout out to all the women around the world. Woohoo! Oh, all right. Y'all talking about the weather up and down and tornado in Kankakee. I didn't even know that. Like even last night they said there was some hail and some stuff in the St. Louis area. I'm like, damn, I must have been sleeping really good. I heard nothing. I was just hot because it got to what 77, like you said, and it was hot in the house. I said I ain't turn on the air because I know it's supposed to cool off, and look how it is now. You need the heat on.
Right,
Crazy.
right. Yeah, mine's on right. There you go. It's going on.
Yeah, that's what this little guy is over here. Boom,
It's coming over here. True. But yeah, it's like you said, 1 second it's 70 something, 80 degrees. Then you gotta put on a freaking skull cap again. I'm like, are you serious? And then talking about like 30 something degrees as the high next week, like on Monday and Tuesday. I'm
Old
like, man,
man Winter said, "Hey, y'all ain't gonna get rid of me that
I
quickly
ain't
now.
done yet.
Hold
Mm,
on."
I
Yeah,
ain't
buddy, and
done
guess
yet.
what?
Hmm.
Me and Brennan took off on Monday to start me a spring break with her, and it's going to be 30 degrees. So
Hey,
we were
what
thinking
is what's
2 day or
spring break without
something.
having winter weather? You know.
Right. Yeah, we were thinking zoo day, but maybe we'll do like Magic House or something, but we'll figure it out. But my goodness, I just wanted to feel like it did on Tuesday. Beautiful. It was kind of hot out. It was, I don't know. I'm excited for that. The 80 to 90-degree weather again, but
Right.
Just
we'll
keep
get
Now
there
sitting
we're
on.
eventually.
It'll come back. Don't worry.
now knocking on wood, but for 314 day, hope I can still say that. Word is that it's being branded now. So if you use it or say it, you may have to pay a cost. But anyway, they talk. You didn't hear about that?
But that's our area code, though.
I know, but it's the originator of 314 day that's talking about trade marketing or whatever. But besides that, last year we had the tornado. 2 years ago, it was like crazy storms, like rain pouring like crazy. This year they're talking about no rain, just 64 degrees. So I'm hoping for a change. We can have a break on on any precipitation for 314 days. So we
Mm-hmm.
shall see. Miss Dub says Science Center is cool.
Thought about that one too, but
Yeah.
Magic House, I was like, hey, Clark might be able to do some more at the Magic House. This kid loves to throw himself all over the place. He's got this little like car thing that you can, sit on, and he climbs over it, falls down, climbs over it again. He just does that over and over again. He's
Mm.
wild. So, I
That's
want him to
because he
have a
has
good
that dual
time.
personality. He's Clark in the daytime, Superman in the evening time. You know how it
That's right.
is.
That's right. Right now, I've been calling him my short king since Monday though, because he's hit a plateau height wise. He's almost 20 pounds which is like 50th percentile for his age, but he's I can't remember what the height was, but it's at the 5th percentile, so he's plateaued a little bit. So he's my short king.
Let's go, Clark. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into the show. Our first segment, as y'all already know what it is. You now have my attention. What sports story or stories has your attention? Something that's not related to our topics. Bunny, you go first.
It's not what I posted in the chat where y'all just tell me how y'all really feel, is it? Is that one of our topics?
Nah.
Listen, Joe, you saw it, right?
I saw it. And you know what, though? You could be saying that about any records that are broken these days. So
Listen,
that's all I'm saying. I didn't want to get attacked in the chat, though.
Hey, I'm here for it because I already get attacked just for always being on mute, as you saw the producer did. So at this point, I'm used to taking shots, right? Shots fired at me, I'll take them. I got a bulletproof vest, so I'm good. St. Louis, the Midwest, America, listen to me. All Bunny did was, hey, it's kind of quiet amongst our sports talk family. Nobody wants to talk about, bam, 63 points. Lord, you would have swore I was saying he was the GOAT. You would swore I was saying that A-Rod was better than Babe Ruth. Or you would have thought I'd have said that Dan Marino is a third-class quarterback compared to Brett Favre. So I'm like, y'all, I was just taking shots. I'm like, God dang it. I just said nobody say nothing. They were coming at me always. So 83 83 points, y'all. I thought that was something notable. And here come the layers. That was half of free throws. Man, ain't been no competition. That's just bam. He ain't doing nothing. I was like, okay, if you really was upset about me mentioning that, you should have put the disclaimer out. Because I still think it's noteworthy whether he got it from free throw line, whether he was crappy at the 3-point line with his shots, but he still put 83 points up, y'all. Whether the defense just stood and looked at him, which most teams' defense doing nowadays anyway. I mean, if he played against all scrubs and got the 83 points, it is what it is. It's still 83 points in a record book. There's no asterisk next to it. It was a full 48-minute game. It was still, I love players playing defense against someone lack up. Shot clock was still at 24. When you got an offensive rebound reset to 14, those rules, all the rules are still the same. Like, gosh. I didn't say the man sitting there on Will Chamberlain status on Kobe status. I just said nobody want to talk about it. You swear it was like blasphemous. And y'all know basketball is my favorite sport. You know I know basketball from the 90s and the early 2000s. Like, God damn. That had my attention. I was like, okay, he did something. Apparently, Platform Sports Talk family does not think so. So I wish the fellas was on the show because I really would have a whole roundtable on this, but we don't have to go there.
All right. So the reason why I didn't comment in the chat because I want to save it for this show. So I was glad that it happened leading up to this show because I am in agreement with you, Bunny. I have no issue with Bam scoring the record. And what I think a lot of people are doing is because of who he is. Now, if it was Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Edwards, someone like that, they would have been all good with it because of who they are. But because it was Bam Adebayo, they was like, his skill set doesn't mean he should be scoring 83 points. But if you think about it, not saying he is the same. I want to put that out there, disclaimer. But Will Chamberlain wasn't shooting 3-pointers, of course, because they didn't have it. But he knew how to dominate by using, his size and taking advantage of whatever the defense gave him. Isn't that what most scorers do? If they take advantage of whatever the defense gives them, that's part of the game. If Barry Bonds, now I can't use Barry Bonds, can I? Who else can I use?
You can do Barry Bonds from the Pirates.
Albert Pujols. You know what I'm saying? You can't get mad because now he's third behind Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, and himself. You know what I'm saying? All because he played during this era, it shouldn't really count. No, we have to go ahead and give the man his just due because still 83 points isn't easy. Yes, he had 36 something free throws attempt and made, but even though free throws are free, they aren't easy.
There's a lot of guys out there that don't make them every time.
Hey, Shaq would love to be able to hit 36 free throws in one game, shoot in one season. You know what I'm saying? So I think majority of the people who are hating, because that's what it is, they're haters. And if the crew is watching right now, I love y'all, but I'm gonna call it like it is. You're just plain out hating because it wasn't someone that y'all wanted. You know what I'm saying? And secondly, because it was Kobe Bryant that he took over.
Okay.
They showed a video. They showed a video of the Lakers announcer announcing Bam Adebayo passing up Kobe, and the whole arena went crazy. So now, because of his achievements, he's public enemy number one because of who he played against and how he scored the points. That we have to stop finding ways to find negativity in positivity.
If free throws are silly and pointless, then why are they part of the game? Because a lot of time, those points right there are what win championships.
Exactly.
You know, so
records, whether you like the person or not, are made to be broken. If a record from Tom Brady was done soon, or whatever it is, the next, if Cal Ripken's record apparently was broken by this non-superstar type player, but he played every day because he just played, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't someone like Fernando Tatis or Ohtani. You know what I'm saying? Are you gonna be mad because of who the player is? No, just give the person the props. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's kind of cool that it's all right. So last night we're watching that quote unquote game, and Brennan's like, "Have you ever heard of Bam Adebayo?" I'm like, "No clue who the hell that is." He's like, "Well, he just broke Kobe's record," and I'm like, "What?" You know, like it's kind of cool that it was someone that not the normal. I don't call myself a fan of basketball, but just a fan of sports. I know basketball players. I never heard of this guy before, and it's kind of cool to know that some random dude, to me at least, broke Kobe's record, and I don't know. And the game has, we say it on this show probably once a year. Games are progressing, games are changing, all sports are changing, and you can't put that against someone who breaks records. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Yeah, I get that, there's more games played in some sports these days, or, just certain things that people complain about. Well, they didn't pitch the way they did back in the day, so that's why, they were able to break. It's always something.
Yeah.
So that's the part that kind of annoys me. It's silly. Like, yeah, if it was someone big, it would probably be talked about more.
Right. I mean, but think about the people in Wilt Chamberlain's era. They could be hella mad at Kobe Bryant because I'm sure a lot of them shots were 3-point shots. And they didn't have 3-point shots back when he played. They could have been like, oh, man, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? No, it's just part of the game. Records are made to be broken. Now, outside of the platform sports talk show crew in the chat, there were some other people. The person I want to highlight more is Nick Young. He used to play with the Lakers and other teams back in the day. And that's what he had to say. And disclaimer, there will be some cussing. So if you don't like cuss words right now, you can mute your devices right now.
Obviously, Kobe's 81-point game near and dear to a lot of people's hearts. Obviously, Kobe fans, Laker fans, the basketball community, Swaggy P as well. But Swaggy, what's your reaction to Bam Adebayo?
Hey, man.
Putting up 83.
Fuck Bam, man, the Wizards. Fuck all that shit. All that record's supposed to be broken. Hell no. Did you see that? The Wizards. See, I'll be talking about the Wizards. Y'all always support the Wizards. Fucking G League team. French nigga getting dunked on the whole time and shit. Playing no defense.
Swaggy, it is the Wizards. They have been known to be a slump buster for a lot of players.
He nice, but he not 83 nice. Like, come on, man, this is Kobe. Kobe probably rolling it over in his grave right now. Like, you, fuck that.
So that's my point, is that because of who he is and his skill set, and because of whose record he just broken, once again, we know it's the Wizards. We know that they were on the worst teams, but they are still a professional basketball team. They're still getting paid, you know what I'm saying, millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? They are in the NBA, and it's not Bam's fault. You know what I'm saying? Any player who has a skill set and knows and can figure out a way to score points and do what he did will do the same exact thing Bam did. And even the head coach, Spoelstra, he wanted Bam to stay out there and get that record. He saw it was close. Hey, go ahead and try to get it. You know what I'm saying? So all this little hating mindset, man, people just find ways, and that what frustrates me is that people just find ways to find negativity in a positive thing. And it's not even a bad thing. So now this is whole thing around social media and around sports of, oh, he ain't deserving of this, and this ain't right for the game, and for now on, when your team is up 20 points, it's something they're trying to keep it cool and just play whatever. No, keep going hard now and win by 100 points. Stuff like that. It's just uncalled for. But that's just my thought. But congrats to Bam Adebayo.
I agree. Now, my memory's not the best. So when Kobe did it, what year was that? 2000. Shoot, I don't remember the year. Jalen Rose had him, right? Because I think he still get roasted about that, right?
It was 2006.
2006. Jalen Rose had to guard him a lot, right? And he killed him on that. But Kobe was getting pushed back a little bit then, if I'm not mistaken. But think about it. Our social media was very limited compared to what you see now. So I don't know what people would say in that era of basketball. But I know people still talk about it sometimes now. Go ahead.
Real quick. Here's what a hater would say. Well, Kobe was taking out the game early in the fourth quarter. He could have had 100 points if he wanted to. The whole little if people start coming out. Okay. Oh, if he would have stayed in the game, he would have had, that's how people want to operate. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I mean, you just said it. They're hating on it. Fine. They think the competition was whacked. All I know is congratulations to Bam. He did what he should have done. Real coaches, now the Wizards aren't going to the playoffs. The Heat should be going there. And a real coach would be like, you don't let the gas off now. Because we got to ramp up. The playoffs is within a month. I mean, if he, this Spoelstra, you said, kept him in there because he saw the record coming close. If he wanted to let him be cool and lay off of it, he could have taken him out. He didn't. The competition didn't do what they're supposed to do. He lit him up. It is what it is. I just not mad, but I'm like, just taken aback by the comments. I mean, what else do y'all want? I don't know if it's because, as you stated, it's because who he is, and he's not the all-star like the Steph's, KD, and all that. But congratulations to him. Asia Wilson, your boo is smiling. You smiling. Y'all celebrate together. I'm not a hater. Even if y'all said it was a walk in the park, it's plenty of the times the Wizards that play teams that are superior than them. Were those star players, the semi-star players, scoring that amount of points? That's my other thing. Well, why nobody else do this against them?
Yeah, and then like in hockey, Joe, someone could be mad at Obi because he has the most points or whatever. Oh well, Wayne Gretzky didn't have to play 3-on-3 in overtime hockey. Stuff like that. It's not his fault.
It's always something. It's not the player's fault that the game keeps changing.
Right.
It's kind of like what we talked about when Kyle Reese was on. It's like, okay, so are historic numbers going to change now for catchers because of the rule changes that have happened? Because catchers don't look as good defensively now because of all the rule changes that happened, So it's like, it's nothing against the player. They're just doing what the game's giving them, and that's what he did.
I'll give you one more thing, and y'all can flip the next topic if you want. But think about all the ABS, automated balls and strike system, all that. You're going to have people coming out, well, they didn't have a live They didn't. This is coming. Y'all know it's coming. Like it's about to be so many people, but they keep overturning calls, and nobody's gonna be happy. I mean, I'm not against the automated system, and at the same time, it's like, yeah, it slows the game down, but that's a whole nother subject. But people
Not
gonna
really.
give y'all
Makes it a
pushback on it.
minute. It makes the game
Yeah.
a minute longer per research from last year.
It
They're
don't-
doing it so only a minute longer, and
Exactly.
we
Right.
got to remember it's
It don't have
only
no effect.
yeah. We got to remember that you only have 2 challenges, and if you miss one, then you're down to 1. If you miss another one, you got no more left, and they're not going to let everyone do it. You know, like obviously, if you keep getting it right, then yeah, you're going to keep getting them, but they're not going to let everyone do it.
And then, like she was just saying, it takes like 10 seconds to get an outcome. It's not a whole review where it
Like
takes.
basketball, because basketball takes way too long on the NBA and collegiate level. I'm
And
like,
they
oh,
still,
God.
but the problem is they still get it wrong.
Yeah, there's been some basketball games I watched at night,
That's
and
the worst
I
part.
feel like the last 10 minutes of a game is like worse than football because it's
They still get it wrong.
everything. Yeah, everything.
You're right. You're right.
All right, Joe Bo, what has your attention?
You already know, but we might get bailed out, possibly, hopefully. I don't even know if I want it to happen because I'm so heated about it, but that's why I'm not waving my flag right now. It's over there on my desk somewhere, but WBC USA.
Listen, if you get called out by other media about, well, let me let you say what it is first. But I know what the management. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm jumping the gun.
No, you're good. I don't even know how to start, honestly. Okay, so it's a tournament. There's different rules to this tournament. You know, it could be based off of runs scored and, you know, like wins is like the least of your worries, I feel like. But regardless, USA had 3 wins. They're 3-0. They beat Mexico for the first time since 2006 when this whole tournament started. So the boys were feeling good, I guess. Played Italy last night, and McLean, by the way, like he is a stud. All right, he only pitched like a handful of games last year for the Mets, but he is really, really, really good. He looked filthy in that first inning, but that doesn't matter. You know, it's 1 inning. But he, you know, he gave up 2 homers to Italy, and then Mark DeRosa, Team USA's manager, being live interviewed by Ken Rosenthal, which I have so many parts to this that I'm so aggravated by. Okay, so like Ken Rosenthal's interviewing him in the dugout, like, yeah, well, we're just gonna put Yarbrough out there so we can get some innings in, you know, yada yada yada. Yarbrough goes in there and gives up another homer, 2-run homer. So now we're down 5-0. And then Brad Keller comes in and he, you know, gets a ground ball, should be a double play, end the inning, spikes the ball, ball's in the outfield, and then ends up giving 2 runs because of errors. So now, it's 7, and they end up scoring 3 runs actually, so it's 8-0. They even had the urge to start warming up Clayton Kershaw, who is retired, by the way. He's just out there as like a baseball dad, and they were possibly going to throw him out there whenever the USA started finally scoring some runs. And then I think it finally clicked in not just Mark DeRosa's head, everyone's head, that hey, those runs matter. Those runs that we just gave up matter, and we're not advancing to the next round yet. Like it hasn't happened yet. So let's rewind to earlier in the day, Mark DeRosa, who is an MLB Network guy, he's just on there, okay, talking to his crew. And he's all just like, yeah, you know, so this game still matters, but we're gonna get some other guys some reps today, some starts, and yeah, we're gonna try still, but you know, like saying like it's like we're already in. He literally said we're already into the next round. We're into the quarterfinal. Incorrect, sir. Incorrect. The thing that annoys me even more, does MLB Network not know? Does Matt Vasgersian and Harold Reynolds and everyone not freaking know? Like they could have just be like, whoa, D-Row. You know that's not right, right? Ken Rosenthal, You're sitting there talking to him, and he's sitting there saying, like, yeah, we'll just throw Yarbrough out there, get some work in, yada, yada. You do know these runs matter, right? Or, right, DeRosa? Like,
or like, hey, correction. He meant to say that they do need these runs to matter. Cover it up real quickly and then keep it going.
that's not even it. I don't know if you guys know, like, the coaching staff that's a part of this team. David Ross is in the bullpen. You got Michael Young, Matt Holliday, Brian McCann, Andy Pettit, and honestly, Ken Griffey Jr. is just sitting there taking pictures this whole freaking time right by the dugout. And you're telling me that Aaron Judge, Captain America, doesn't know the fucking rules of this tournament? I'm sorry. Like, what? You guys just went out there and said you're just gonna just let it go and we'll just have fun. And Mark DeRosa said before the game that they were hungover pretty much.
Damn.
That they were hungover from beating Mexico. So some of our guys were dragging, they were, celebrating last night. So what, did you just celebrate like you guys just won a freaking postseason round and now you're going on to the next?
Yeah.
Yeah, they celebrated because after the game, he was telling his squad, well, we're good. We advanced. So the whole mindset, the whole mindset going into playing Italy was that
take your foot off the gas, just cruise along.
They already knew that they were good.
So they thought.
Exactly.
The thing that it's all of it is annoying. Every bit of this has been so annoying. Not to mention this team on paper is so freaking good. It is so good. And you smacked around Brazil and Great Britain. But Great Britain was up on you until the 5th or 6th inning. Brazil they showed out a little bit. Manny Ramirez kid, Dante Bichette's kid, they were out there doing their thing. I feel like they haven't really done what they could be doing. The DR right now is putting a spanking on these temes. And I mean, right now it's
the manager. Who's the manager?
It's not because of the manager. It's because they're passionate. Obviously Albert knows what he's doing. Have you seen Puerto Rico, Yachty, what he's doing with his team?
Yeah.
It's because they're passionate. And these smaller teams like Italy, which by the way, it's funny they're calling it USA Junior because they're all American and a lot of them play for major league teams. But they showed the passion yesterday.
It to me, it seemed like Team USA is literally treating this like the first game of spring training.
And it's annoying. And I'm sorry, it's been nice to cheer for Aaron Judge right now because I know he's a good ball player. I don't want him to win with the Yankees, but I've been cheering for him, during all this. I've been cheering for PCA throughout all this, who had a great game last night.
Mm-hmm.
But Judge, you come up with the game time, with the tying run on base and just strike out, and he went 0 for 4 last night. Harper's looked bad. That's why I had no problem with the lineup changes they made because all they did was put PCA in for Buxton, who went off. They put Goldie in, which is fine. He's been there, done that. This is a third WBC. He's not great against right-handers, but still, whatever. They put Ernie Clement in over Bryce Terrain. Ernie Clement's not bad. He's good. And Gunnar Henderson, took over for Breggy because Breggy hasn't been good. And Gunner's been one of our better players. So, I had no problem whatsoever with the lineup changes. It was just how nonchalant everyone, not just DeRosa, but every single one of those guys took it.
Yeah.
And I saw Jimmy from John Boy, he's like, you either admit you're dumb or you're dumb. There's no way around it. You're an idiot. The whole entire USA organization is an idiot. Yeah. Because of that, and right now I say maybe it doesn't matter. Italy's up right now 6-0. 6-0 now. So pretty much if this game doesn't go to extras, we're going to the next round. Whatever.
Right.
But it's I want them to go on and win, and I still think they're probably going to go to the finals after all this, but now that they're possibly going to be in, but it's aggravating on how it happened. It should never have happened like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just heated by it. I thought about it all freaking day. How do you have that many former major leaguers, some Hall of Famers in your dugout,
not knowing the
knowing the damn rules?
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That speaks everything about our country right now. And people
Now
can
that's shots fired on that one.
I'm just saying, people can take it as far as y'all want to, because that sums up USA right there. Not being aware of what's going on. Like Joe said, which I love, which is the best thing about the WBC is the passion from the players and from the fans. You know what I'm saying? It's light years different when you watch a USA team, which they feel like they have to act so. No, give us some kind of cool excitement, some kind of cool little celebration.
I told D they should be putting an army helmet on when they get in the dugout. That'd be sick. That'd be sick, but they haven't.
Something, but it's like they expect to be there because of who's on the roster.
Who does it remind you of? What we're talking about right now?
The Cardinals back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I don't know. Love the damn team. The team is stacked. They're so freaking good.
Right.
But
you gotta play the game. I always tell you that.
You have to play the game, but you have to manage. And I'm sorry, I love D-Ro, and everyone I've seen has said the same exact thing. Love D-Ro. He is an awesome dude. He's also on MLB Network, but he can't manage this again. He can't. There was mistakes he made last year, and then you go out, and then MLB Network. What are you doing? Taking down your clip? Just freaking own it. Are you kidding me? Just own it. You guys didn't catch it either. You guys let your employee make a fool of himself, and then made a fool of yourself because you left it up for so long, and then you took it down once everyone realized, oh shit, no, we're not advancing yet. Like, I don't know. There's just so many layers to it, and it's so annoying. It is so annoying. Like,
are you annoyed today? I cannot tell.
I had such a busy day with work, and I just thought about this shit the entire time. Like, my blood was heat. Ball knower. Know your stuff, D-Ro and Team USA. Like, how do the players not say anything?
Right.
The players don't know either.
Right.
No, they're in spring training mode. I guarantee some of them is just like, oh, okay, I'll do something.
That is something that people have talked about. Like, USA's team, like, they do have to. There's a lot of. I'm not saying a lot. There's some disadvantages when it comes to Team USA because every single player is an MLB player. They have, 30 teams telling D-Ro, like, hey, you can't let this guy do that. This guy needs to only throw this many. So there are some disadvantages, but I don't know. It's you're good, Bunny. But yeah, there's just it's just I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm just hoping they go out and recover and start acting like they want to play some baseball and win some baseball. But it's just very aggravating.
Yeah. Once again, this is your Wednesday night Sports Delight, the platform sports talk show, the main show. I'm your boy Smooth. We also have
Jobo.
Bunny just stepped away just for a second. Our special guest will be on around the 8 o'clock hour, so stay tuned. Get them likes, get them shares. Once again, I've been trying to get on Twitter, but right now, StreamYard isn't connecting with Twitter right now, and that's where a lot of our followers be tuned in. I've been checking out, so hopefully we can get our peoples from the X, not Twitter, but from the X to go over to YouTube and the whole nine and still be part of the amazing conversation, the show that we've already started. This is just off of the first segment, who has our attention, that we already like, and I love it.
Brennan texted me saying you were hot when you were worked up about baseball. I know I'm loud from down here, but yeah, maybe he's watching. I don't know, but getting the juice flowing, I guess, because I'm showing my passion.
It's something about men hearing their wives cuss and be mad. They just be like, oh, I can't wait till after the show is over.
Well, Brendan must be aroused all the time because I cuss quite a bit. So
gotta love it. But yeah, so what had me annoyed was especially this past Saturday, where Smoooth and Mizzou both ended their regular season on a terrible note. Terrible note. And I mentioned this on, I think, the last episode of the main show when I was telling Bunny how SLU was at a good place, but these teams in the A10 were starting to learn how to play against them. SLU was like, at the time, they only had like one loss in the A10. No, I'm sorry. They had no losses in the A10. But then all of a sudden, teams started playing them differently. They started playing them more aggressively in regards to trying to prevent 3-point shots. They're being more physical against SLU, and they just messed up their whole rhythm. And I was telling Bunny, I said, watch out for how SLU has been kind of playing recently. They've been winning the games, but they start off super slow, where they're down like by 10, 15 points. But then after halftime, they made them adjustments, then they blow out the competition. Well, it all caught up with them. And they ended up losing 3 A10 games in like the span of 2 weeks. So they're going into A10 tournament. They did win the regular season crown. I think they shared it with VCU, unfortunately, but they did share the A10 crown for the regular season. But now you're going into the postseason, and SLU was like ranked number 18th, 19th in the country, and now I believe they fell out the top 25 just like that in a matter of weeks. And then for them to not even show up the last game of the season when they played George Mason at George Mason and got whooped by like 40-some points. Like, that was just like, are you freaking serious? So now I'm super concerned about how this team is going to do in the tournament, in the A10 tournament. And if they don't show up and do something in this first game, it's a very good possibility that they may not even make the big dance. It is a very it's slim, but if you come out here and lose your first game in the A10 and you a top seed and you get blown out bad, why should the committee want to choose you to go to the tournament? You know what I'm saying? So I hope this team gets the wake-up call that they deserve. Now, that team in Columbia, they were on a roll for a good little stretch, but then they start losing, I believe, 3 out of their last 4 games. And it's all, I think Bunny had in the chat, Joe, I think you asked me, I think you saw it too, and she was like, how you feel about Mizzou now? And I was like, I can't really be too hyped, because I feel like if I get so hyped about it, then they come right back around and disappoint me. And that's what they did 2 weeks ago, Joe, is that I was about to put in the chat, Mizzou is about to be a top 25 team, because they were playing better. They were beating good teams, whether home or away. So I'm like, I'm starting to see some signs of this team is getting hot at the perfect time. Because that's when, good teams usually get hot going right into March. But then here comes March, and this team started losing. And it's the way they lose that frustrates me the most. You have players that don't recognize the moment in regards to the situation, turn the ball over, not going for loose 50-50 balls. You know what I'm saying? That you're not boxing out for rebounds. You're not getting the balls on the floor. You just kind of like brain dead, like, oh, I forgot I'm supposed to get that ball. Sometimes Dennis Gates, he has done better since the last time I had a little rant about him, but there's still times where execution is lacking, or your team doesn't know what to do in certain times. And that's a reflection of the coaching staff. Once again, he can bring guys in, but it's all about coaching these guys up and getting them ready for all type of situations. And I feel like that's one area that he still isn't all the way there yet. And so now Mizzou came into last Saturday, Joe, that if they would have won their game, they had a great chance of being a 4 seed in the SEC tournament. But because they lost, they are now like a 8 or 9 seed. So now the road just got tougher, and people are saying that they're already in a tournament. They should be a lock. But once again, now it's suffering being like, okay, if you lose, it's all right. We're going to wait till the big dance. Now it's like, well, you can't slack off, because if you slack off, you may not be in it. So we came from a point where you have both SLU and Mizzou coming in hot into March and being ready for the big dance to now, I don't know. And so that's the frustrating thing that happened this past Saturday, and that's been going on these last few weeks with both Mizzou and SLU, is that as soon as you think, here we go, they got it, then they come right back around, and it's like, what happened?
Don't these young men know we don't have professional sports that are going good right now, so we need them to make us happy?
Come on. I mean, we had it. You know what I'm saying? And SLU is packing out the Shapits. Like, they've had sellouts the last, 5-6 games. I couldn't even get into the game myself because the ticket allotment wasn't there, And I've been trying to go to the games, but couldn't make it, And Mizzou, their crowd's been amazing. They started off the year undefeated at home, but now lost maybe 2 or 3 games at Mizzou Arena over the last few weeks. So, like I said, both teams just coming in to March and to their respective tournaments, not looking too good. So that pretty much sucks, man. So I believe Mizzou plays tomorrow and SLU plays on Friday. So we'll see what teams come up, man, because truthfully, both teams, especially Mizzou, because I was on the verge of saying Mizzou is a better team than SLU, but then Mizzou start Mizzouing again, Joe. So I kind of had well, maybe not put that out there, but I was getting to a point like, okay, well, maybe Mizzou is finally showing that they are the better team, because they do have great size. They have a lot of depth, but I don't know. Sometimes they play like they have no idea what to do, and that's not a good look. It really isn't. So that what has my attention. And Bunny, your thoughts on what I was talking about?
Yes. But we've gone back and forth a couple of times with Mizzou. And remember, I compared it to why SLU is having better success than Mizzou. Granted, we know the competition level in Atlantic 10 for SLU is not on the same level as SEC and basketball. However, Shirts, we know, is a really good coach.
Mm-hmm.
It's a step up coming from Indiana State to SLU. And he's being sought after. I was talking to a manager at work, and he's like, yeah, he's not going to be here after this season. I'm like, SLU don't have enough money to keep him? He's like, but the bigger schools got more money than SLU to keep him. I'm like, damn. I thought Church was going to be like our spoon hour, But he has them playing together. They're like Mizzou men's basketball team. They play together as well. However, I see the biggest difference when they're playing defense. It's just okay.
They have none.
I mean, I'm not saying okay because they show up, but they don't show up. And you can't win a game trading baskets. That's what happens.
Exactly.
If they start off the game close for some of the games, and let me say the conference games, it'll be close. And it's like, well, you can't separate yourself in the second half, because usually, by the time it's halftime, you do your big adjustments, pick it in the second half, let's get this going. For the games that are close, they trade baskets, so the defense ain't doing what it's supposed to be doing. Big man, that's one thing I give Gates. He went old school. He's using is it Phillips Mitchell? What's the name? Phillips, some big man.
Yeah, Phillips the second. Yeah.
He's using him for what he's supposed to do, and he does a good job. I give him that. But at the same time, I'm like, I told you we don't have without going to the post with the big man, without relying on a good hot streak for shooting threes. Mizzou doesn't separate themselves from their competition, specifically in SEC. You look at how Alabama is, Kentucky. What's some other games I watched? The Arkansas game.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, y'all. And every time I think if they're behind, they get a little closer, but then they don't do enough long streaks.
Right.
Now the home games up until the last two, they were unbeaten at home. So I was like, okay, maybe it's a road thing. But I'm like, I just can't figure out why they so inconsistent. Like, why
That's
can't
it.
y'all put together? I don't want to be like Jobo and get my blood pressure up because how she's still mad about the Team USA. I'm not trying to have that with Mizzou, but it's like if I'm on the selection committee, you don't know which Mizzou you're going to get, and
That
that's the
part.
thing. If you want to get good competition, so if they got in as a 12 seed, could they come in and beat? Well, 12 seed usually plays what, four? No,
Yeah.
4 seed, right?
Yeah.
Could they get 4 seed and run for their money? Possibly, but depending on which Mizzou shows up. If you have SLU as a what's in the middle, the 6 and 7 seed, right?
Right.
If you have SLU there, oh, you know what SLU's going to pretty much show up, and they're going to definitely listen. Even if SLU gets behind, they know how to play catch up. Minus the last 2 games we lost, but for the most part, they're consistent. They know what they need to do. Like it's not night and day, but it's like sunset and nighttime. I just can't figure them out. And so I know who's coming down the pipeline next season. And I'm like, will that fix their problem? Because besides the defense, they don't have a go-to shooter. The point guard is bad. And you see how he takes it to the hole and scores all the time. But
T.O.
that shouldn't
Barrett.
be our
Yeah.
number 1 or 2 option either, though.
And even that, like the offense, because we do have shooters, Jaden Stone, you know what I'm saying? He's cold. But the issue is that there's times where they force up just dumb shots. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you're wasting your possession. Like, come on now.
It's
Smart
just too
about
many
this.
times where the offense just hits a lull and like they suffer a 10 to 15-0 run.
Right. That's yes.
Yeah. So like so that'd be the part that's frustrating because it's like Sean Phillips, the big man, he actually has some decent moves, but he's not using it. Then you got the talented Trent Pierce. He's like 6'11", can shoot the ball and go to the hole, but he doesn't go to the hole enough. Like he always just stays staggered and try to shoot a jump all the time. Dude,
that's not his game. That jumper ain't him, but go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, you tall enough where you can go take anyone to the hole, and you're not doing that. Now, Mark Mitchell, he's their best player, but his thing is that he doesn't really have an outside game. And then when he goes to the hole and gets fouled, he's like only shooting 60% in free throws. So it's not a guarantee.
It's a liability.
Exactly. T.O. Barrett, hella talented, but then there's a stretch where he'll score some incredible shots in the hole, but he can't shoot threes to save his life. Like if someone paid him $1 million to shoot 10 threes, he'll only probably hit 2. You know what I'm saying? And then he had that terrible turnover where we had the ball and we were down by 1 point. We had the ball with 30 seconds left to go in the game, and he started rushing up the court and trying to take on 3 guys and lost the ball. And you know what I'm saying?
That's dumb. That's just dumb.
Exactly. So that's been the story of this Mizzou team is that we have the guys, but is it something that's not clicking to be like, come on, let's do this more. Let me attack the hole so then this person can be wide open. Or okay, well, you know what? Since no one else is open, let me use my 6'7" or 6'11" height and use my moves. There you go. And go to the hole and make a basket. So it's just too many lulls with this Mizzou team. And it's kind of like they're just stuck without any kind of offensive structure at times. And like I said, defense, like you said it perfectly, Bunny. They pretty much, when it matters the most, they don't shut the opponent down. And then when they finally do shut them down, no one boxes out.
That's old school. Box
no
out,
one.
but it works. It still works today.
I mean, it's countless of times I'll
the
see
opponents get the offensive rebound.
Yes.
They keep getting it. They keep getting it. I'm like, God damn.
So yeah, it's very frustrating, man. Last Saturday, my wife would have came back home mad at me because I was so mad. I was upstairs and I stumped the floor so hard I thought I was gonna punch a hole. you know what I'm saying, and have to go ahead and call a company to have to come over and put a whole new floor in our room because I was just that mad, man. I was just that mad about that Saturday and how Mizzou, especially Mizzou, SLU rarely gets me amped up, but it's something about Mizzou where it's like I can see it. You know what I'm saying? Like they almost
Yes.
there.
Exactly. That's why your passion is. That's why they so frustrated to you because after Brown left, we went through another couple of rocky seasons. You
Right.
know, we knew there wasn't gonna be nothing, but just hang in there. Now we got the talent, we got the recruits, and it's like, why are we? Oh, just
So
I don't think it's all on Gates though. I'm still an advocate for him. You'd be like, nah,
and I mean, like I said, he brings in the talent. You know what I'm saying? That's not a question. But now it's about bringing this all together where players know how to execute throughout the game and not look lost.
So let me
But
ask you this though: with this squad, this is the first year all of them playing together. Some of them were last year, but not too many, right? This is a growing pain season for them to play together, right?
They only brought back maybe 3 or 4 guys from last year.
Okay, so I'm thinking, you know, with the transfer, these are not the little 18, 20-year-olds that we're used to seeing. These are more 24, 25-year-olds, but the game mentality is still
I ain't
there.
gonna say that old, but I will say experience, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What team was that? If few Final Fours, let's say right after the pandemic or pre-pandemic, I was like, this is why they win. Because they were playing together the last 2 years.
You talking about UConn?
Yeah, thank you. That's it. I know it's like it's a team in the Northeast.
Yeah.
But remember that they weren't just okay, we're transferred, we all here together, let's figure this out. That still works, at least on the collegiate level.
Right.
Having some time with each other from previous season and still bring it back, that makes a difference. I mean, like I said, they're not the 20-year-olds we're used to, they're more 24 or 25, but still, it makes a difference on the court. That chemistry, we've talked about this before, Joe, in another sport. Maybe it was baseball, I don't remember, or hockey, but I was like, I used to downplay it, but now I'm like, nah, it makes a difference because you got to get a flow of how people work. Now, a whole season go by, I would think that's enough time, but for some people, maybe it's not. And Gates did change the point guard. It used to be Robinson, and he lost it.
Right.
So they adjusted, but like I said, they should make March Madness tournament. They should. They got some quality wins. We just don't know who's gonna show up. So I wouldn't get the whole fan base think we're gonna get past the first round. I don't see it, but I hope they surprise me. SLU, I do see that. The only thing I'm be heartbroken whenever they, get out of the tournament is with the coach because Church just flipped them around. Kellen Tames coming off the bench, but he does so much that he think he's just a score. Like I didn't expect this. Avila, I knew he brought him in. He was gonna do what he does. SLU fan base is like, yes, we are back. This is the spoon ball time, and now we think he's gonna leave. But I hope they get somebody just as good and still can keep some good recruits.
Now, Bunny, speaking of back, I'm glad to now bring back on to the main show. This man here is part of 101 ESPN. He's an on-air personality. Listen in every weekday from about 11 to 2 p.m. on 101 ESPN on BK and Ferrario. Shouts out to their own T-Bone as well, Tanner. But once again, he's returning back on the show. It's been a long time, but he was so gracious to take some time out of his evening to be on the show. You can also listen to him do the pre and post show every time the Blues are doing their thing on 101 ESPN. He's back. He's a father. He's a husband. He's a man who loves some sports and look forward to talking about that and so much more. He's back on the show, y'all. Alex Ferrario. Alex, how you doing, man?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for that. Thanks for that intro. I appreciate it. I told you 8 o'clock, and I was trying to get to 8 o'clock as quick as possible. So the real magic was me getting my 3 girls down to sleep at bedtime at 8 o'clock. So happy to be back, and thanks for adjusting the schedule with me.
Hey,
that's not fair. I'm sorry. I'm coming off the gate blasting. 3 girls, and they sleep by 8. One of mine is sleeping. The other one is still at Taekwondo on her way back here.
Oh man,
Wow.
let me tell you, like
by 8?
we lucked out, and I mean, like everybody goes through different parenting. We lucked out to where our girls, like, they were always so routine when they were babies. And some of that was us because we needed to be on a routine because of our schedules with both of my wife and I's work. But I mean, it was to the point where as they got older, by like 7:15, they started to get tired and they were like, Daddy, we're ready for bed. And so, my oldest is 5, my middle is 3, she'll turn 4 in the summer, and my youngest is 1. So the 1-year-old is down by like 7:10 because that's just her routine. My middle is typically the toughest one because she usually likes to kind of get all of the energy out. But I mean, by about 7:30, 7:45, they get so much energy out that they're like, all right, Daddy, let's read a book. Let's go. So we get lucky with it. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I was going to say that the last time we had you on the Platform Sports Talk Show Network was back on July 28, 2021.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yes. And a whole lot.
that was one kid. I had one kid at that time.
See, I was going to get to that point. So you had one kid at the time. Joe only had one kid at the time. Now she has 2. She just had her son Clark, about 9 months ago?
Yep, he's 9 months now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then Bunny, Sanaya was how old?
She was still cooking in July 2021. She was still cooking.
Wow.
There we go.
She was born in November. So yeah, I still had 10 of them going at the time.
Congrats to you too.
Oh,
so I was not married yet. I got married on 9/11 of that same year. So a whole
congrats to you, man. Yeah, this is like a milestone reunion for the 4 of us. I love it.
Yes, exactly. So, but I do want to ask you, because we know how things change, not just in our personal lives, but with our professional lives. And the last time that you were on, of course, you still had, Randy Carricker, you had Smallman on, Rocky O, the whole night. And then we saw what happened that dreadful, I think, Friday, where they were all of a sudden off the show. So just from your standpoint, I know it's been a couple of years now, so it hasn't been as fresh, but just seeing that from your standpoint, talk about how it's not easy being part of being on radio, being an on-air talent, knowing that, ratings matter. We know sometimes money is a factor. I was just recently laid off a couple of weeks ago from my job of 15 years because of budget cuts. You know what I'm saying? So it happens in all areas, but talk about just from you, when you first heard about it and the shockwaves and then knowing about how it is in the radio business.
Yeah, I mean, it's anytime you work in this business and really any job these days, it's just, you never know what's going to happen. I think more than anything, when you hear the name Randy Carricker on the chopping block, I mean, it's surprise more than anything because Randy is St. Louis sports. I mean, me specifically, he was one of my many mentors in this business. Of course, his roots that started at KMOX is where my roots started. I remember having lunch with Randy prior to me getting into the radio business and talking with him about how to get into it. So Randy was always a great friend and still is a great friend and still is a great mentor. But it's one of those things that it's just the nature of the business. You have no control over it. It's just a matter of you see people around you that are good friends that you build relationships with, and you see him on the other side. But for a guy like Randy Carricker, when you see that he's let go, again, it's the shock factor, but then it's also, well, Randy is a true pro, and he is going to land on his feet, and he did so right away, having success with STL Sports Central with his show on Matrix Midwest. And, it sucks. It sucks when you lose anybody in this business. I have been very blessed in terms of never being fired yet in radio. I worked at KMOX and I loved my time there. And then once the Blues transitioned to 101, I transitioned with them and I've been there ever since. But yeah, that was a tough day, just like it was a tough day, prior to COVID when Bernie Miklasz was let go, prior to all of that when Chris Ranji, Kevin Wheeler's let go. So you see a lot of turnover at 101 ESPN, but I feel like that's just the radio business in itself. It's just ever evolving, and you've got to find ways to stay up to date with everything and find ways to stay in tune with it. And that's the best way to kind of keep moving forward with it.
And on the flip side, talk about the success that BK and Ferrario has been having over the years. And like I know it's big for me. I've been blessed to be having to have the Platform Sports Talk Show Network for it'll be 9 years coming up next month. Ladies Night, it's 5 years, I believe now.
Yeah.
The Man Cave is about to be 5 years as well. So being able to have a family. So talk about being able to have that family every time you come in to work and do the show for a couple hours, and the importance of just having that continuity within BK and Ferrario.
Yeah, I mean that you said it best. It really is family. Like I've worked now with BK since 2020 once COVID hit. I've worked with Tanner T-Bone since 2020 when COVID hit was when he started at 101 ESPN. And I mean, I always tell people I am lucky enough to work in a business and a job and a career that I love doing that doesn't feel like a job. I wake up every day excited to go to work. I get to go talk sports, which is what I went to school for. It's what I wanted to pursue. And I also am tied with the Blues pre and post game. So it really has been a family, not just with BK and Tanner, but the guys on the fast lane and TMA and the people that work in just kind of our cluster at Hubbard Radio. It's just one of those things. You love what you do and you get to go to work every day and enjoy being there. And, I always tell people when, I'll adjunct at Lindenwood every once in a while. I'll teach some radio production, and I get some kids that just reach out to me and want to get into this business. And the first thing I tell them is, look, if you want to get into this business, you have to be okay slow playing in this, because there's no fast track to getting anywhere successful in radio or broadcast. You got to start off small and you got to be willing to grind it out to get to where you want to go. But when you get there, it is so worth the amount of work that you put in, but you have to be willing to put in the effort. You have to be willing to put in the time commitment. And if you're willing to do all of that, man, it is a job that will reward you just as much as you give to it. And I mean, that's all that I can explain with this. I feel so lucky every time I'm out. And I know my persona on the radio, if you listen to BK and Ferrario, is I don't like talking to people. I promise I'm not always like that. It's just sometimes when you are out with 3 children, you got to get your stuff done quickly. But anytime somebody stops me and says, hey, I love listening to your show. Hey, you guys are really fun to listen to. It truly tugs at my heartstrings, because this is what I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to talk sports. I'm blessed enough to get to do it in the city that I grew up in. And I'm even more blessed to talk about the teams that I grew up loving. And I hope that passion comes through when I'm on air. And that's what I just want to continue providing in this business. So, yeah, I'm very lucky to get to work with guys that share that same passion. And, we bounce off of each other over these last 5 years to where it really feels like it's just a bunch of buddies talking at a bar.
I love it. My last question, because I know Joe is ready to bring in some Blues hockey, which I'm going to start off now. I know it's probably a broad question, but I believe that you may have some nice answers for it or answer. But what has happened to the St. Louis Blues?
That's a loaded question right there. What has happened to the St. Louis Blues? Man, where do I start? Insanity, I guess, is like the only word that I could bring up with it. And the only reason I say that is because it's the same cycle happening every year. The last 4 seasons, really, since they shipped off Ryan O'Reilly and Vladimir Tarasenko and Niko Mikkola and Nola Chari, that deadline that got them their 3 first-round picks, they told fans that they were going into a retool, that it was, they painted it as a 3-year retool, to where they were hoping to kind of follow the guidelines of the LA Kings to get back into at least a competitive window in 3 years. And, they started off the makings of that. They brought in some really good prospects. They stockpiled their pool. And then I think what happened last season when they went on that run to get into the playoffs, it gave fans a false sense of where they were at, and me included, because I fell into this camp of, I thought they were better than what they were. You go win 12 in a row, you make the playoffs, you nearly beat the President's Trophy team. You have to be thinking that, okay, well, they're taking their step forward. And then this season, it felt like you just got slapped right back down to earth. And why I said insanity is because the seasons feel like they're doing the same thing over and over, right? For 4 straight seasons, it's been slow start, fire a coach, go on a hot streak towards the end of the season, nearly make the playoffs or make the playoffs, feel like they're ready to take that next step, and then slow start from October until January, and then you recycle it over. Craig Berube was fired. Drew Bannister was fired. They finally got Jim Montgomery, and then I think this season was, okay, maybe this team's not as good as we thought they were. And that's where I feel like they're at right now. I think that's why we went into this deadline as Blues fans wondering, what path are they going on? You've been one of the worst teams in the NHL. You're potentially shipping out guys like Colton Parayko and Braden Shen and Justin Falk and Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou. Is this now a rebuild? And to me, the way that I've best explained this to Blues fans is, I think this is a to be determined. This is like walking out of Avengers Infinity War and being like, well, what the hell? Like, I want to know what happened next. And you had to wait until Endgame came out. And then once you saw it, you're like, oh, okay, good. I'm glad that we waited for that. That's where I feel like this Blues team is at. Their deadline was good. I think their offseason may be really busy. And to me, they've got 2 paths. You've got a path of, all right, we're rebuilding. We're taking this retool and we're adjusting this core to Snuggerud, Dvorsky, Holloway, Broberg, Jiricek, Carbonneau, guys that are 20 to 23 years old, which may mean shipping out Robert Thomas. The other path, this fork in the road, is, hey, Robert Thomas is a star player. We're starting to get the returns on these guys that we have hoped we were going to get from. Let's invest in this team and try and make this team competitive in the Western Conference in about 2 years. And that's why I'm fascinated to see what they do this offseason, because it really feels like this offseason is going to be that decision if you go left or right with what the Blues are hoping to accomplish.
I feel like you said so many things that I could
did. I'm sorry.
off. It was a broad question, as you as you said. Jeez, okay. I'm trying to think of where to start. Well, you answered one of my questions where you did like the deadline.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that deadline, the way that I've looked at this is you had 2 guys that the way that the Blues put it, when they're hoping to be competitive, whether that's 2 years or 4 years from now, they weren't going to be in the plans. And if you look at it from the 10,000-foot view, because I think there's a passionate side of it that you're tied to Braden Shen, that you're like, yeah, but you shouldn't trade that guy. You had a 32 and a 34-year-old player that probably weren't going to have their best years in front of them. And you got a 1st-round pick and a 3rd-round pick for both of them. And you got a couple of prospects in your pool. So, yeah, it's as much as I hated to see Shen go, it's hard to not be happy with what they got in return.
Yeah. No, I agree. I liked the deadline myself for what we got. I know there were some fans that think we should have gotten more for some reason, but I feel like every fan base feels that way. And then the Islanders think they gave up too much for Braden Shen, and Red Wings think they gave up too much for Justin Falk. Also, side note, I always thought like there was a day in my life, like I always wanted Jonathan Drouin on our team. Like he was like one of those players, Yeah. And now that he's here, I'm kind of like, okay, whatever. But hey, he had a good first game, and But do you think he's gonna be someone that's here next year as well? Because I know he makes $4 million. I know the cap went up, but
it's a really good question, because he kind of falls into that camp of 2 paths where the Blues are going. Because if you're trying to make this team better faster, I don't think he's a part of it, and I think he's probably just somebody to get you that better return in the trade. And the Blues probably either move him in the offseason or maybe they release him and put him through waivers. But if you go the other direction where you're rebuilding, and let's say that they do have an appetite to move out a Robert Thomas, a Colton Parayko, a Jordan Kyrou, well, then you're going to have to get to the salary cap floor, and you're going to have a lot of guys that are on cheap deals. So Drouin makes $4 million that would help you get to that floor. So he's the one that it's like, I don't know. Like when they acquired him, it made sense because, like, sure, take a shot on a guy, see if he plays well, and if he doesn't, then so be it. They did it with Verana and Kapanen. But I think the return of Druin in that trade was more so of getting the first and the third round pick on top of a prospect in that return rather than just getting a first or a third for Braden Shen.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I know you mentioned like Thomas and Parayko. I guess which one do you see is more realistic of what we're gonna possibly see during during summer? Because I mean, there's all the talk, like obviously Parayko, he's gonna be passing up some records, which so that's a big factor there. I'm amongst maybe a small group of people that I don't want the Blues to have a captain, but maybe he's that next captain, obviously his girlfriend and all that stuff, and it's Colton Parayko. He's been here for so long now.
Yeah.
And then you have all the talk of, there's been kind of some negativity talk around the Robert Thomas situation. He was hurt for pretty much the entire year, didn't take care of it until the Olympics, and he wasn't that great because he was hurt, and then he goes on and says, he never asked for a trade, he never asked to leave, and never asked really anything. So which one do you see is more of a possibility, possibly coming around again this summer?
It's interesting because I don't think one has more of a probability of getting moved. I think if one gets moved, both gets moved, if that makes any sense. Like I don't see a world where you move Colton Parayko and keep Robert Thomas and say, well, we can compete without one of our top defensemen and keeping our top centerman. And I don't see a world that you trade Robert Thomas and say, well, let's keep Colton Parayko. Now, those guys have a say in all of this. If they want out, then the Blues can explore it. If they don't want out, then there's no trade there. But I don't see a spot where you move just one of them. I think if you're moving one, you're moving the other, and you're embracing that rebuild. And I'm kind of with you, Joe. Like I don't think there's a reason to move either of them. One, Colton Parayko, if you look at the right side of what your defense can be next year, and it sounds like Jiricek is going to have every shot to make this team next season, you're going to have Logan Mailloux and Adam Jiricek on the right side. Now, Mailloux has been playing better lately, but I don't know if there's an appetite to have him play 23-plus minutes for an 82-game schedule. Nor will there be an appetite to put Jiricek in a spot where he's playing 20-plus minutes a night as a rookie in the NHL. And can they go out and sign a free agent? Sure. I don't know if you guys have looked at it, but the free agent class this upcoming year is not any good. So you're overpaying for a guy that's probably mediocre at best, and Parayko's a really good deal at $6.5 million. So it's why I look at it. I think every team in the NHL is going to call the Blues up once the offseason begins because those guys were available. And the way they're looking at it as cool, well, let's see if we can pry these guys away from the Blues. The question will be, do the Blues have an appetite to move those guys? And if they play well down the stretch, and specifically Robert Thomas, I don't think they're going to move Robert Thomas because you don't have another Robert Thomas in your pipeline. And unless you trade for one, you will not get another Robert Thomas in your pipeline because you've got to be bad and pick at the top of the draft. And I think the Blues have too many talented players to be third worst in the NHL all season. Now, maybe that changes when you move Thomas, if you move Parayko. But, Jeremy Rutherford made a really good point in his article that came out earlier today. Like, if you trade Robert Thomas, who's getting the best out of Snuggerud and Holloway and Neighbors and all of these guys? Because Robert Thomas, as we are seeing in the last 6 games, brings their game to another level. And if you trade Robert Thomas, sure, you're setting your timeline back to the same timeline as Snuggerud and Holloway, but you're acquiring a guy that's potentially 19 or 20 years old that hasn't tasted the NHL, and you're hoping to get him in 3 years to the level that Robert Thomas is at. So if you do that math, I know I sound like Charlie Day right now in that meme where he's got like 17,000 Post-it notes, but that's where this team's at right now. If you bring in a younger player that you hope can become better than Robert Thomas, by the time he is Robert Thomas, well, Dylan Holloway and Jimmy Snuggerud are probably towards the back end of the primes of their career. And now you're having the same conversations about those guys that you're having about Robert Thomas right now. So it's why, once again, I sound like a broken record, and I promise I'm trying not to be, but if you go down the path of trading Robert Thomas, then you trade Thomas and Parayko and Kyrou, and you go out there and get a boatload in return to restock your pipeline and be a team that's ready to compete in 5 years. But if you don't, and I pick the side of don't trade those guys, go out there and find another stud to play in your top 6 forward group, to play in your top 4 of defense, and say, we may not be able to compete for the top spot in the Central Division now, but in 2 years, we feel like we're going to be right there with Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota. But it all comes down to what you can acquire at the deadline if you're buying rather than selling.
And that is the voice of Alex Ferrario, our special guest, returning to the main show. Been a long time since 2021. This is the main show, the Platform Sports Talk Show Network. Yours truly, Smooth. Got Bunny, got Jobo, holding things down for the Boondocks. Bunny, I'm going to let you have a question for our returning special guest.
So, Alex, it's a certain someone that happens to be on the show right now who was against our goalie Bennington getting that long contract, right? And I'm like, hey, Bennington is cool. He should earn it. This is after we got the Stanley Cup and they re-signed him for however many years. And now it's like, oh, when the trade deadline came, hey, let's get rid of Bennington or let's bring the backup and take over. And I saw how he was playing this season. It was ups and downs, but I still believe in Bennington. Am I a hopeless Bennington fan at this point in his career? Is he worth still keeping? Or is the person that happens to be on this panel thinks he was right and like get rid of him? I don't know who that person could be. Oh, ball knower, her. That one right there.
Ball and puck knower, by the way, and you could answer the question, but
well, hold on. No, she framed this in the sense that I kind of need to know your side of this too.
I just listen. The last 2 years, maybe last year not as much because the numbers were good, but I feel like this year it's always two sides on social media. It's Bennington's a god. He's still the guy from 2019, 2020, 21. And then there's other people that think, he's might have gone down a little bit. And I'm somewhere in between. Like, I know he's good, but like, I just right now, and I think JR said it in one of his tweets during deadline day, is this is Hofer's team, I think. And Benner has not been Benner, to me at least. And you can't blame the defense every time that Benner gives up a lot of goals, because why is Hofer having good games? You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't. I can't see it be one way over. It's like it's a hard one, but it's just I love Benner. I will forever be grateful for 2019 and for all those deep playoff runs. I have said that on the show.
Yeah, you have. I feel like you got off the bandwagon like 3 years ago because I was still pro Bennington back at 20.
Yeah, and that's how far it's gone back that I have seen what is visible to a lot of people that. Yeah, 2019 and a couple of years after were amazing, okay? But right now, it hasn't been great. And maybe it looks worse because the Blues aren't good. And maybe that's the way I see it, worse than it really is. But Hofer has been better than Benner this year. And that's all I'm going to say. And I don't know if it's true or not. He apparently, rumors, you don't know what to believe, did not want to go to, oh my gosh.
Edmonton,
yeah, I can't think. He did not want to go to Edmonton this year. Maybe that really happened. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm just stuck on that. But I love Benner. Thank you for 2019. Thank you for good moments and whatnot. But thank you for throwing a water bottle at Kadri.
Yeah, that one was good.
All that good stuff. But I think it's time, for him to go try to bring a cup somewhere else, and you could possibly get a decent haul for him.
Yeah, well, and it's not a bad perspective to have. And I mean, I feel like you're absolutely right in the sense of there's only two sides of this coin, that people are either get rid of Bennington or Bennington needs to stay. And like, you can't be in between of like, hey, Bennington's been really good, but it might be time to move on from him. Now I get to do my like reveal, that like mystery man in The Bachelorette or something where it's like, whoa, where'd he come from? I am the biggest Bennington honk that you will ever find. Like, I have been pro Bennington since that Stanley Cup year, and anytime somebody brings up get rid of him, I kind of get a little angry about it. If you've listened to BK and Ferrario, BK and I have fought about this a lot. But what you're saying, Joe, is not wrong. Like, if you look at his regular season numbers, Jordan Binnington has been nothing but average. And I say this with 100% respect for what he has done. But if you think about it, you know, I think it was 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, maybe it was 4. Ville Husso took the spot over from him. Binnington stole it back in the playoffs and then was obviously good for them, beat the Minnesota Wild and nearly beat the Colorado Avalanche. Binnington then had a rough year, is where we started to see Joel Hofer, and then Binnington got back on track. That was the year that they selected 10th overall. And then the next year, last season, Binnington was actually really good. And Hofer was the really good backup for him as well. But there's always this down period for Jordan Binnington to where like it sails off a little bit. And then you're like, geez, it's like he's lost it. Get rid of him. Hofer comes in, backup comes in. That's the number one guy. Remember Chucky Sideburns? He did this as well. And then it's once you get towards the end of the season when they're trying to make a playoff push, Binnington turns himself back on, and it's like, yeah, that's the guy. So here's the way I look at it with Jordan Binnington. 2 years ago, the Blues were in flux of what their roster looked like. I think Binnington's numbers looked so bad because that team in front of him was very bad. The numbers don't lie, but I always tell people, man, go back and watch the highlights of those games because, yeah, he had an 895 save percentage, a 905 save percentage, but you could put Patrick Waugh or Martin Brodeur in between the pipes on that season, and that goalie is going to suffer because there were so many backdoor tap-ins. There were so many missed plots in the middle of the defensive zone that like he was left out to dry. Last season, they finally found that next defenseman in terms of Philip Broberg. They finally found that other alpha to play with Colton Parayko. And that's where you started to see his numbers tick up a little bit. Joel Hofer played well, and then they both kind of did that tandem the rest of the stretch. Binnington performs well in the postseason. Binnington has always been a goalie, and I've been told this before by multiple people around the Blues. Binnington is a goalie that if you overwork him, exhaustion will set in. So he is not your prototypical number one that's going to play 65 games in a season like Vasilevsky or Connor Hellebuck. If you do that, he will start to wane thin, he'll start to struggle, and then you're going to have to get him back to where he's at. Once they have found the backup that can play 35 games in a season where they can give him an extended break, he starts to perform better. So I'm saying a lot of word vomit to say this. Jordan Binnington is a playoff performer. Jordan Binnington signed that contract once the Blues won the Stanley Cup because they expected to stay in that winning window for the length of his contract. And you got him at a pretty good price considering it was a flat cap and he was a guy that just won you a Stanley Cup at $6.5 million. Like, goalies go for a lot more than that when they have one good season in the postseason, let alone win a Stanley Cup. The problem was the roster didn't resemble the mindset. They lost Pietrangelo. They underperformed. They traded away O'Reilly. They opted to go with Nick Leddy over David Perron. Jay Bouwmeester had to retire. That Stanley Cup core started to get picked apart into pieces. And Binnington was left over as they were trying to transition into a new group. And when you try and transition into a new group in front of your goaltender, play will lack at times, so your goaltender's expected to come up with those desperation saves. So that's where they get to this point to where, look, now you're hoping to kind of retool this thing on the fly, get back to a competitiveness. Where are you at with Jordan Binnington? You also have to have two goalies in the NHL if you want to survive. Like, you can't survive without a capable backup that can win you 15 to 20 games. If you don't have that, you're not going to make the playoffs. And I think the plan and process with Binnington and Hofer was always, we've got Binnington for 6 years when he signed that extension. Hofer's in the minors, and we expect him to kind of be ready to go once you get to the back end of that Jordan Binnington contract. If we're still competitive, it's great to have two goaltenders. If we're not still competitive, then you can look at it and say, well, maybe it's time we move on from one goalie and move to the next one in Joel Hofer. I'm fascinated to see what they do there. The issue with moving on from Binnington in the offseason or at this year's deadline is when you lost Colton Ellis on waivers to the Buffalo Sabres at the beginning of the season, you lost all of your depth. Ellis was supposed to be the next one up. He got claimed. Zorenko was further away, and then they had to go get this Romanov off of either free agency or traded for him from San Jose, I forget. So that set your timeline back on goaltenders probably 3 to 4 years. So now it's, okay, well, we've got Hofer. He's ready to be the number one. Do we keep the guy that is our number one, that is going to have to take a seat probably for a majority of the games next season and go out there and sign a free agent? Or do we keep the goaltender that's under contract and say, look, we've got one more season of you. We're going to split this next season 50-50. And then when you're a free agent, we'll let you go your separate way and go out on a high note. That's the way that I would approach it if I'm the Blues. I don't think you'd want to send a guy out who's a legend in St. Louis off of winning a Stanley Cup by trading him away. But they've already done it multiple times. And as we know by now, Doug Armstrong is cold-hearted. And I'll wrap with my long answer by saying this. Remember that next season, it's not 82 games, it's 84 games. So you have 2 more games next season with a longer break in there because they'll have the World Cup tournament that will take place, which means, once again, a condensed schedule with a lot of hockey. So I don't know if it's smart for a team that is still wanting to be in a winning mindset to get rid of a goaltender who realistically can give you competitive minutes if the team in front of him is playing competitive, rather than go out there and get a free agent goaltender that's not going to be any good. Then you overwork Joel Hofer, and then he's not good for you long term. So I think I would stick with Binnington one more year if Binnington wants to be here, and I would have the realistic conversation of, look, this is a 50-50 net right now, and if we go on a hot run, Joel Hofer gets a majority of them. If Hofer struggles, Binnington gets a hot start of them. But I think that's the smarter play rather than trading him and giving it all to Joel Hofer without a backup plan.
So, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
No, I was just gonna say, like, do you see Benner be like, okay, Joel, you're better than me. You can have the majority. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see him being a team player type of guy like that, because goalies are a different, creature. Everyone talks about that, and we know how crazy Benner is.
I do. So yes, he'll be the ultimate teammate, because he saw it happen to him with Jake Allen back in 2019.
Right.
He was Joel Hofer in 2019, and Jake Allen was the ultimate professional about it, was in his corner. I got to see that on a daily basis in the locker room after practices. And I mean, those guys were as tight as you can be. And Allen was like, hey, man, this is your net. And remember, Allen was there the next season. Like, Allen was with Binnington that next season when Binnington was the number one guy. And Allen was still, 31, 32 years old. So, yes, if Binnington's here, he will be the ultimate professional. I have no question about that. And I also believe that if Binnington is here, in his mind, it's not Hofer's net. In his mind, it's a brand new season. It's both of our nets, and the best one gets that net. And I think the coaching staff will treat it that way as well. They adore Jordan Binnington. They know what he's capable of. I think the subpar play by him this season, and you're right, Joe, when you said, like, Hofer's playing in front of the same players. He is, but he's not playing in front of the same team, if that makes sense, because there have been multiple games this season where Joel Hofer has got it a very, very dedicated game from the guys in front of him in terms of blocking shots, playing very sound-tuned defensively. You could see they're committed. There have been games where Jordan Binnington's in net after the Blues play well in front of Hofer, where you're like, what just happened to this team? So I won't sit here and say that Binnington's been awesome this year, because he hasn't. He's had rough games. I will also say Binnington has not been gifted the same team every time he has started this season. So if he's here, I fully expect him to embrace Joel Hofer if Hofer gets the majority of starts. But I also expect, if Jordan Binnington is here, to treat this as, well, that's not his net yet. It could still be my net. I'm going to go out there and take it throughout the early portion of the season.
So my question, John Mozeliak, prior to his last year, or prior to his ending of
what
his
a change in subject, by
say,
the way.
this was hockey. Now.
Hold on.
I was thinking that Smooth, because I was thinking about Armstrong and comparing them to Mozeliak. They're about to end.
So
let's do this thing.
Thank you. Trying to take my fire, bunny. But no, so as I was saying, Mozeliak, and of course, his last year was last year. But as Bunny was alluding to, over the past few years, he's been known as, okay, maybe he's getting a little bit outdated. The game is kind of passing him by. He's not hitting on the mark like he used to. I always used to say he was at his best when he made shrewd moves where other teams wasn't looking at getting this guy, and the Cardinals did, and it helped them to win a championship. It helped them to, to be still a winning franchise. Even if they didn't win the championship, at least they were right there in the mix. And it started to get stale where people were like, yes, he did amazing things, but you know what? It might be time to go. And now we're seeing what Chaim Bloom is doing, which now goes to Doug Armstrong. Incredible 2019. Then I know a lot of people will feel that we got robbed because of the COVID season, because we were just as good.
Oh yeah, I'm one of those. They were going to the Cup that year if the COVID doesn't happen.
100%
Exactly.
agree.
So you had that, but then what happened? He didn't resign. He didn't make sure that we kept Petrangelo.
Yep.
Then you see what's going on with Torrey Krug. Everyone and their mama want him gone. And so many misses that's been going on with Doug Armstrong. So do you feel that that same energy that has been applied to John Mozeliak needs to start being applied to Doug Armstrong in regards to the direction of the Blues?
Some of it, yes. I don't know if Doug Armstrong is going to get or deserves to get the harshness that was directed towards John Mozeliak, if that makes sense, because I'll be frank about it. Like, the Stanley Cup was a lot closer to Doug Armstrong's final year than John Mozeliak's final year, right? Like, John Mozeliak had the one championship in 2011, and then it was 15 years prior to him winning another one. I know he got there once, and they were competitive teams, but they never could get back there. And Doug Armstrong, and I know it feels like it was a lot sooner, but it was 7 years. So I think that's some of it in terms of, like, it's been a while since Cardinals fans saw success to the same level of their expectations. And Blues fans, I feel like, did not have Stanley Cup aspirations probably until about 2013, 2014. And then you get to it a couple of years later and you win it. And then you still have that kind of lasting effect towards Doug Armstrong. Now, I do think both teams are in a very similar spot to where they have players that they held on to too long. They've rushed guys into positions that maybe they weren't ready for, like when they gave Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou the reins of the team when they moved on from O'Reilly and Tarasenko and all of those veterans. Not saying that they were like the captain, because Braden Shen was the captain with Falk and Parayko getting letters, but it was pretty evident that they told Thomas and Kyrou, hey, you're the guys now. You're getting paid the most. You're the stars of this team. And was it too soon? I think that's a fair question to ask. Just like people may say, was it too soon for the Cardinals to try and adapt to the, I guess not too soon. Well, did they hold on too late for a lot of these guys in John Mozeliak's sense? And you could ask that same question for Kyrou and Thomas, where Doug Armstrong's at right now. I do think if you go back, though, and like you take yourself away from it, the Alex Pietrangelo one, there's no question that was a mistake. But, I mean, there's two pieces of the pie to blame in that one, at least from what we've been told, right? Doug Armstrong didn't want to give a no-move clause. Alex Pietrangelo wanted the no-move clause and chose to go elsewhere because he didn't get it. So however you want to view that one, I think you should have gave the guy the no-movement clause. He deserved it, but so be it, you didn't. You veered to Torrey Krug, and I think that was Doug Armstrong zigging while you were zagging in the NHL of, hey, look at Cale Makar and Adam Fox and Quinn Hughes. The league is turning into young, fast, mobile defensemen. So let's go out there and get this guy, right? Torrey Krug was a premier free agent at the time that they acquired. Look at what they did from there. They had Vince Dunn on their roster, Jake Wallman on their roster. They went out there and drafted Scott Perunovich. They wanted those small, mobile defensemen. But what's funny about it is those guys were unicorns, and the teams that still won in the NHL had the big bruising defensemen that the Blues kind of moved away from. The Justin Falk move, like, I know people are negative about the Justin Falk move, but Justin Falk I thought was a great acquisition. You can look at it as a safety net of, well, if you lose Alex Pietrangelo, we've got Justin Falk. And maybe that was their decision. I looked at it as, hey, Justin Falk's available, and let's go make our defense elite going into the 2019-2020 season, which, again, if COVID doesn't happen, that team's going to the Stanley Cup championship. I don't know if they're winning it, but they're at least getting to the final. And I think we're having different conversations about the Blues at that time. And then, you kind of move on from there. I think some of the biggest mistakes that Doug Armstrong made, at least in my opinion, one was them opting to keep Nick Leddy over David Perron. I think David Perron was a DNA player, and you needed that guy to remain in the locker room with the culture of the Blues. They chose to go defense because they needed it. I understood it, but I think it was a bad move. Them not giving a contract to Pat Maroon after they won the Stanley Cup, I thought that was a bad move. Pat Maroon was a legend in St. Louis, and he, as we saw in Tampa, was the heartbeat of a Stanley Cup championship team for multiple seasons. And then I also think it was a bad move moving on from Ryan O'Reilly. If you look at the trickle-down effect of them not signing Ryan O'Reilly, what did they do that next offseason? Well, first of all, what did they do after they traded Ryan O'Reilly? They traded for Jakub Vrana, claimed Kasperi Kapanen off of waivers, both guys who had contracts for the next season. And then that offseason, they went out there and they signed Kevin Hayes, or traded for Kevin Hayes, because they needed another veteran center in their middle six. When if you look at what they did for Ryan O'Reilly, Kasperi Kapanen, and Jakub Vrana, you could have just paid Ryan O'Reilly and kept him there and had him be the voice of that team. But I think they didn't because they were ready to give it over to Thomas and Kyrou, who weren't ready to take over in that sense. But I also think he still made shrewd moves in the midst of the Blues kind of being underwhelming. The signing of Brandon's... I'm sorry, what was that?
I think your microphone just that good or whatever.
Oh, okay, good. I was going to say, I'm probably hearing things, which is very possible with children. They signed Brandon Saad to a really good contract. Like, at the time, that was a hell of a contract in a flat cap, and he was a good player at the time. They made the trade for Pavel Buchnevich, which the extension for Pavel Buchnevich may have been a mistake, but the signing or the trading for Pavel Buchnevich, that was a hell of a deal. I mean, you're telling me Sammy Blais and a couple of draft picks for Pavel Buchnevich, who scored 30-plus goals that first season. And then they did the offer sheets for Broberg and Holloway, all while drafting and developing a lot of guys in their pipeline. So another long-winded answer, I apologize to say this. I think some criticism does deserve to go to Doug Armstrong because the Blues are where they're at because of some of the decisions that he made in terms of the culture of the team. But I also think he has made very competitive moves for this roster that the players haven't taken advantage of the opportunity that has been given to them. And that's where I feel like the Blues have been stuck. Whereas I looked at the Cardinals kept giving guys opportunities that didn't deserve it. Dylan Carlson, Tyler O'Neill, Nolan Gorman. They kept trying for these guys and wouldn't go out there and veer in another direction. I think Doug has veered a couple of times. It's just the players that have been the DNA of the roster haven't taken the opportunity that's been given to them.
And it sounds like to me, and of course, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like to me, Craig Berube should still be the St. Louis Blues head coach. Just no disrespect to Jim Montgomery, but it's like you said Berube, Bannister, and Montgomery, and we're still seeing pretty much the same type of play. There has not really, outside that run they had last year. And I said this to Joe in previous shows, but I feel like when the Blues lost that first round game against Winnipeg and how they lost, I think that just changed it hurt their mentality going into this upcoming season, and they just have not recovered from that because they were this close from doing something amazing and they lost it. And I think ever since then, it's just been downhill. But once again, going back to Berube, from Berube, Bannister, and Montgomery, I just have not seen any reason why Berube should not still be the head coach. And maybe they're realizing now, well, maybe it wasn't about the guy behind the bench or the head coach. Maybe it was us and not having the right players or whatever it is. But it seems to me, once again, that Berube should be still the head coach. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've always been the kind of guy that I don't blame the coach. I look at the players before I go to the coach, because the coach is giving them the messages that he believes are successful. And if you play to the level that the coach wants you to, you're going to have success. And I think you saw that with Craig Berube. Now, with that being said, I also think it probably was time to move in a different direction from Craig Berube, because that core switched over so much. Like, I'll never forget conversations I had with some of the players when Ken Hitchcock was there, specifically the captain, David Backus, where Backus used to talk about, like, hey, the coach is just, the captain is the mouthpiece of the coach, to where whatever the coach is going to say, the players don't want to hear it, right? Like the famous Herb Brooks line from Miracle. I'm your coach. I won't be your friend. If you want that, you can take it up with the assistant coach, Greg Patrick. Like, that's what Ken Hitchcock was. But what Ken Hitchcock was saying, even if the players hated him, was how you win hockey games. And so David Backus was able to take what Ken Hitchcock was saying and relay it to the players and saying, look, this is how we win. That's where these guys go out there. And you lost so much of that leadership core that understood what Craig Berube was trying to relay to the players, that it was very difficult to get the message across. You still had Braden Shen, you still had Colton Parayko, but think about it. Like, Perron was gone, Ryan O'Reilly was gone, Tarasenko was gone, Pietrangelo was gone. Those guys that understood what Berube meant to the Blues, I think that was lost. So at some point, you needed to go get a different coach. And Drew Bannister, look, if Jim Montgomery didn't sign in Boston, I think Drew Bannister would have never been the head coach. Mm-hmm. Drew Bannister was just the placeholder, which is very unfortunate for him because he was an awesome guy. He was the placeholder for the next head coach. Mm. And once Jim Montgomery was available, I remember talking about this on BK and Ferrario. The moment that Boston fired him, it's like, the Blues need to go get this guy.
Right.
And I got some slack for that, because it's like, man, you're firing Drew Bannister. He hasn't even had a chance yet. But Jim Montgomery is just an incredible coach, and they went out there and they got him. So I'm with you. I don't blame the coach. It's why I look at this season and I say, no, this has nothing to do with the coach. So anytime somebody comes after me with the coach needs to be fired, I swat that away like a Dikembe Mutombo block, because it's like, that's a joke. It's a joke. It is very evident when you fire 3 coaches in 4 years that it's the players. And I don't think it's just the Blues. I think the NHL has come to terms with that. That's like, I mean, look at Toronto right now with Craig Berube. Like, right. They're recognizing. Yeah, like, they're recognizing. It's like, no, we're not going to fire the coach because the players aren't playing well. So that's what it's come down to. I think you had to move Berube. Jim Montgomery, though, this is going to be the guy. And that's why I think all of those rumors were out there around trade deadline season, because, look, they realize it's like, look, this is another season where you've underperformed and we're done with it. We're going to move on. We're going to put other guys in positions to succeed, and the coach will coach those players if you're not willing to listen to the coach.
So, quick question. Since you're mentioning about our great friend Jim Montgomery, I'm all for Jim. And when the Blues started doing horrible this current season, I'm like, I know it's not the coach. But you said the NHL recognize that don't fire the coaches, the players hold them accountable. Well, please tell our friends at the NBA the same thing, because you had a few head coaches. You remember last year, I was like, you get fired. They were on the firing spree in the NBA. And I'm like, when do we start holding players accountable? What happened to that?
Well, NBA's got a lot of problems in the sense of, now I hear the coach, Steve Kerr, complaining about load management and how they need to play fewer games. What do you say, like 72, 73 games? I got news for you, Steve. The NHL's going to 84 games, and none of these guys complain one bit about it. Like, their schedules, NBA schedules are tough. I'm not taking anything away from them, but I mean, the amount of back-to-backs and the amount of 4 games in 7 nights that some of these teams play, where 2 of them are on the West Coast, 1 of them is back in the Central Time Zone. Like, listen, look at the Blues, for example. They didn't get home from Anaheim until Monday morning at 4:30 a.m. They got home Monday, and then they suited up for a game yesterday in the Central Time Zone, and then they have to suit up and leave today to go to the East Coast to play Carolina,
Jesus.
and then come back to the Midwest to play another game on Friday night against Edmonton, and then get a couple of days off, and then head back to the West Coast in Canada. Like, NBA's got their own issues in terms of they're worried about the load management and whatnot. And it's like, man, like I get it. The season is not easy, and that's taxing on their body as well. But I saw that comment, and it's like, man, these guys are going to 84 games this upcoming season. I don't know if I'd be complaining about dropping away from 82 games.
I wonder why the player unions for the NHL agreed to those 2 additional games. How much more money are the players getting?
Probably, I don't know exactly on it, but I know there was some negotiations into it. But they're also dropping preseason games. So now I think they typically play like 6 or 7 preseason. So they're only playing 3 preseason games. And then I also think they give them that break to where they can go to the Olympics, the World Cup of Hockey, the 4 Nations, which if you're not a part of those teams, well, now you got 2 weeks, 3 weeks off in the middle of the season versus just the 1 week that was always negotiated into their contracts.
Okay.
Have you been liking the since we're talking about these breaks? Do you even miss the All-Star game?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, neither.
Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? Between 4 Nations and Olympics and then World Cup next year, when they have another All-Star game, I promise you I won't be paying attention to that at all.
Take it away.
Look, thank you for your honesty.
Like I'll be 100%. Like I think all All-Star games are kind of a joke in my opinion. Like the one that I still enjoy is baseball's.
The best one.
Even baseball, and I know I'm in the minority on this one, but even baseball, when they took away the World Series kind of obligation for it, like there's just nothing to play for. It's just there's no competitiveness in it, right? Like the All-Star game, the 3-on-3, like these guys are just going out there and just skating around, floating around, waiting for something to happen. The score's 12-7. It's not. And then you got the Pro Bowl. I forget when the Pro Bowl is. Somebody has to tell me the next day, like, hey, Pro Bowl was last night. Like, oh, really? Cool. Congrats.
And it's the flag football Pro Bowl now. It's not even the
yeah, like dodgeball and flag football. So no, when they come back with that All-Star game, because I think that's every 3rd year that they'll have it, because I know they got the 4 Nations. They'll have the World Cup tournament. They've got the Olympics. And then one of those will be the All-Star game. The viewership on that All-Star game is going to be very porous unless they come up with something big to draw you in, because 4 Nations to the Olympics to World Cup, oh yeah, there's nothing that comes close to that.
So I know that you got to go ahead and leave and continue doing your great father and husband duties. So
that's my sleep beauty before this West Coast road trip coming up.
So I do want to ask that this team has been playing quite well since the trade deadline, and I know fans don't want to hear it because they want the number 1 pick.
Yeah,
but it's a slim possibility of them trying to creep their way up into a playoff spot. Should fans be excited?
I see Joe shaking her head right now because she's probably
want it. Hey,
that wants that pick, right?
Joe is on that side.
I do.
Hey,
we're to the point now where we can compare the Cardinals and the Blues. Okay,
yeah.
What was the worst? What was the most exciting but like worst season in recent history for the Cardinals? We talk about it on the show all the time. 2022. That season was amazing. It was awesome. Albert
was that the 17-game win streak that they had?
Well, that was 21, I think.
That was 21. Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking like Albert was back. Yeah, Albert was back.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year, when they went on this big win streak, the Blues, and got us into the playoffs, and we're about to take out the trophy winners, like. That was exciting. It sucked because I couldn't drink because I was pregnant. That was. I watched that last game, and that was rough, man. Like I can't even drink my sorrows away. But yeah, like those last 2022, 2025 are just so comparable to me when it comes to the Blues and the Cardinals. And Cardinals are finally doing what they have to do. 3-4 years later, Blues. I don't want them to continue this whole thing of, hey, let's just creep in, anything could happen, yada yada. Just stop. Like, why are they playing good now? I hate it. Stop. I hate it. It is so aggravating.
You are the majority of people that I hear on my post games when I have to talk about a win, because they're like, shut up, Alex, we don't want to hear about the win, we wish they lost this game. I get it. Don't kill the messenger. I'm just here to talk about the game that just took place. Here's my stance on this. I'm in your camp. Like, I think it would be best for the Blues and healthiest for the Blues to get themselves a top 2 pick. Like, to go get Gavin McKenna or Ivar Stenberg, this team lacks a superstar that puts the puck in the back of the net. And that's what one of those guys could be. But I also understand how this thing works, to where you have the second worst record in the National Hockey League, and by some crazy magic, the pinballs drop, and the 8th worst record moves up to the second best pick, and then the second pick goes all the way down to the 6th pick. So, like, it's hard for me to get excited about the second worst record because I don't know what's going to happen in that sense. But it's also hard for me to get excited when you go on a win streak because of the last 4 years. And you're right, like, I want playoff hockey in St. Louis. But what I don't want is I don't want a team that every season views it as, well, we're a second half team, so we'll go on a run there. And that's what it feels like the Blues have become, right? Like, they'll fire a coach, they go on a run, the last month they get close to it, maybe make the playoffs, and then you kind of don't get that draft pick that you need. So I think it would be smart if they could get themselves a pick. The problem is, and I said this like from December on when people were saying, oh, it's just time to tank. Your team isn't bad enough to tank. It's just not. I'll never forget, we had a conversation with Doug Armstrong last year or 2 years ago when we were talking about, where they were at in the retool. And he's like, it's funny how people want me to blow it up. He's like, if you want me to blow it up, I'll blow it up. I don't think you're going to like what that looks like. And what it looks like is Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, Colton Parayko, Cam Fowler, Jordan Binnington, Pavel Buchnevich, Pius Suter, Braden Shen, Justin Falk, all of those guys being traded off of this roster. That's what a blow up would look like if the team was trying to get a first or a second overall pick. And I don't know if St. Louis wants that, right? Like, I don't know if people want to deal with 5 more years of, hey, maybe we'll get that number 2 overall pick, that number 1 overall pick. Look at Buffalo. Buffalo has 7 top 3 picks that are playing on their team right now. And they're just getting their playoff taste now. 17 years of them being awful. Edmonton, they had to get Connor McDavid before they started to get to this point.
Poor guy still can't win.
Yeah, like you can't just draft in the top and then just expect to be good. You either have to be an awful team that's going to pick there for 5 straight years, or you're going to be a team that has to work their magic somewhere between 8 and 13. And that's where I think the Blues are probably going to fall. Like, if you look at the draft history of Tony Feltrin, my dude rocks at finding guys late in the draft. Jimmy Snuggerud, Adam Jiricek, Zach Bolduc, Justin Carbonneau, Otto Stenberg, Theo Lindstein. Like, this guy rocks at finding these guys late in the draft, so I'll trust him wherever he's going to get this pick. I'd like to enjoy the ride from here on out. They're 7 points out, and nobody wants the Western Conference final wildcard spot. So if you go on a run, and I think you're capable of it, great. Get into the playoffs, man. Like, so be it. Give these guys a playoff taste. I don't think they will. I think the cream rises to the top, and I think the Blues will probably float around a 500 record the rest of the way. And if they do, you're probably talking about somewhere between the 5th and 7th overall pick. And that's if you don't win the lottery. And if you talk to me, I'm a big conspiracy theorist when it comes to the NHL draft lottery. I think the damn thing is rigged. So, you know what? If you go an ethical tank and you make it competitive, maybe those pinballs will bounce in your direction. But I don't think you were ever going to get a 1 or a 2 overall pick because your team was just too good to be the first or the second worst team in the National Hockey League.
See, all that right there that you were talking about, you could have been talking about the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah.
You know,
You're
like
right.
from 2016 up until 2023,
See, the thing with the Cardinals is, I think the Cardinals could have been bad. They should have blown it up and got rid of Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt and Wilson Contreras and all of those guys probably 3 years ago. Probably right after that Albert Pujols run where you realize this magic wasn't going to continue. We're not going to have Albert Pujols back. You probably should have looked at blowing it up at that point because without those guys, you would have been probably floating around a top 10 pick consistently. But instead, they went out there and they made their trades to get Jordan Montgomery, which was a good acquisition at the time, Jose Quintana. And then they had the free agency where they brought in Gibson and Sonny Gray. And like that to me was chasing. That's what the Blues would be doing if they went out there and paid significant money to one of these free agents to come in and just kind of put a Band-Aid over a bigger issue. Like, I don't think signing one of these free agents, a middle six centerman or a winger to an $8 million AAV makes a difference.
Mhm.
I think you have to make a trade for a superstar player to play with your roster, or you need to trade pieces off of this roster and go into the timeline of 19 to 23 years old. Like, once again, it's those two directions that you're going. I think you can win with Robert Thomas. I think you can do the opposite of what the Cardinals did, because I think Robert Thomas is a star in this league. I think you've got pieces that look like they can be stars in this league. Holloway, Snuggerud. We just talked about Joe Hofer. Like, he looks like a number one goaltender. Philip Broberg is going to be a really good defenseman in the National Hockey League. And hockey is such a different sport than baseball, in my opinion, because baseball is an individual sport. And I know that sounds weird to say, but you're relying on yourself to provide that offense for the team.
Mm-hmm.
Hockey only has success if 12 guys are playing the same way.
Yep.
So you can have a group that doesn't have a superstar player and be good if you've got a really good goaltender or a really good defenseman and everyone's playing to the same level. And that's where I feel like the Blues have lacked over these last couple of years. There's DNA to it that I don't think the same DNA goes into baseball like hockey when it comes to winning.
Hey, I love it. Once again, thank you for being on the show. Once again, tell BK we want to get him on this show as well, man.
Okay.
Get his viewpoints, and I hope that we get a shout out tomorrow. I'll be tuned in to listen in on the show. Any plans for 314 Day?
Oh, 314 Day. What day is that? I don't even know what day it is right now. Is that Friday or Saturday?
It's on Saturday.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I have hockey games Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. My plans on 314 Day is going to be playing with my girls. It's supposed to be sunny out. My daughter, my 5-year-old, got a bicycle for her birthday. And this kid loves riding her bike. Like, she loves it. So I told her already, I said, we're going to go to the playground and we're going to go somewhere with a nice bike trail, and all of us are going to go on a nice bike ride. So my 314 Day is going to be celebrated with my 3 little girls.
I love that. Shout out for you being the girl dad. Shout out to Smoooth.
Yeah.
Joe's husband, my husband, girl dads. I will say real quickly, was it last week or week before last? Either you or BK? When you were talking about your girls and one of them wanted to see if they could stuff up the sink to see what it does.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to that show and I was bugging up because it was like, I think he went on a rant about how single parents, they don't understand how they can make it without having help, because kids do just the craziest things. Like, how?
God bless single parents. Like, I mean,
that show was so funny.
Anybody who is listening that is a single parent or had to be a single parent, you are a pure angel. That's what you are. I mean, I don't know how. Like, it is pure chaos from about 4:30 until about 7:30 in my household. My wife and I work opposite schedules because, of course, Blue season, I'm gone, and she owns her own hair salon and makeup business, so she's got a clientele to work with. And so we are 2 ships passing in the night during hockey season, and the weekends we get to spend together. But she's home when I have hockey games. I'm home when I don't have hockey games while the other works. And I love my girls more than anything. Like, they are the biggest blessing in the world. But every night at about 7:45, 8 o'clock, I sit down on the couch and I stare up at the ceiling and I go, I don't think I'm going to survive this. And then, of course, I go to bed, I wake up, and I survive the next day. But God bless single parents, because you are pure magic with what you do. But I say all that to say it is also very entertaining, because, Bunny, when they stuff that drain, and you know how it is with kids, right? To where it's silent for a really long time, and you're like, I don't think this can be good. My daughter and I were coloring, and I'm like, where's my middle girl? And I was like, last time I know she went to the bathroom, and that was about 10 minutes ago. And I walked in there, and there's water that's just sitting at the top. And she goes, Daddy, when you stuff a towel in the sink, it keeps going. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I get a bucket. I'm like scooping it and throwing it into the bathtub. So yeah, it is pure joy. But I appreciate you finding that funny because I try and bring my pain to other people's amusement when they're out there listening.
Listen, I got a freaking frack show all the time. That's what I call them, freaking frack. They always freaking and fracking, so I understand. Right?
Well, God bless you.
Once again, Alex Ferrario, thank you for your time, man. You have a great rest of your evening, and we'll be tuned in once again to BK and Ferrario. We appreciate you, man.
Guys, I love coming on here. Thanks for reaching out. Let's make sure that it's not 5 years in between next time I pop on. But you guys do a great job with all of the programming that you put together. So keep up the great work, and I look forward to talking. Oh, see, look at this. We got a little one right here. What's going on?
Listen, we supposed to be in bed. Say hi.
Hi. And I love the bluey onesie that you got going on. My girl would be jealous of that. It's great to see you. Now, I'm sure your mommy's going to tell you to go to bed, right? No. You guys are the best, man. Thank you so much for having me on, and please reach out anytime. I'm always happy to pop on and talk sports with you guys.
We got you, man.
Thanks
You have
so
a great
much.
one.
Thank you.
See you guys.
All right, y'all. And
So,
that was
we gotta get
that
ready
was,
to bed, y'all. Yeah,
there we
girl,
go.
stop.
Bye, Bluey.
Stop.
So with that being said, that is our show. Everyone tune in next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for some more of the Platform Sports Talk Show Network. Jobo, Bunny, thank y'all for your time. Y'all have a great rest of your evening. Everyone else, continue to follow the Platform Sports Talk Show Network all across social media. Couldn't be on the X this evening. It was tripping between that and StreamYard. Hopefully they get that together so we get even more of our viewers to tune in and enjoy the Platform Sports Talk Show Network. Shouts out to Hot 365 Radio. Make sure that y'all show them love by going to the website or downloading the app, iOS or Android. And once again, everyone, just support everything on the Smoooth Productions umbrella. It's your boy Smoooth. Have a great rest of y'all evening. Enjoy 314 day. Be safe, y'all.
What you have just experienced was brought to you by Smoooth Productions. Until next time, stay tuned and stay smooth.